Welcome to this video where we are going to face one of the key challenges when dealing with embedded analytics, that is the single sign-on between your web application and the analytics embedded into it. There are several multiple ways you can perform single sign-on between your web application and Qlik Cloud, but in this video we will cover how to access content and metadata hosted on your Qlik Cloud tenant by using an OAuth2 machine-to-machine impersonation token from a backend service. As browser makers introduce new privacy and security features into their browsers, embedding content from one software application to another has become more complex. You must consider third-party cookies, cross-site request forgery, content security policy, and other concerns before the visualization you want to place inside your application will render successfully. With Qlik Embed, the intent is to resolve this concern in advance so that you can embed analytics into your web application with confidence and ease. Since support modern authentication strategy like OAuth2, mitigating third-party cookie and cross-site scripting issues between web applications. OAuth 2.0, which stands for Open Authorization, is a standard designed to allow a website or a third-party application to access resources hosted by other web apps on behalf of a user. Qlik Cloud implements OAuth 2 to authorize external applications to access content and metadata hosted on tenants. Use case can include, for example, embedding visualization and data from QlikSense application in web application, access to management console and administration capability of Qlik Cloud, integrating Qlik Cloud directly into cloud application onboarding flows, so that, for example, partners can provision, configure, and hydrate analytics alongside their host application, and support also the authorization within other Qlik applications like mobile app and Qlik CLI. We support many different OAuth2 application types within Qlik Cloud. In this video, we are going to cover the machine-to-machine impersonation application. That is the recommended method for all the use cases where, for any reason, you cannot configure the same IDP you use into your web application inside of your Qlik Cloud tenant, but you still need to have a single sign-on implementation between the two systems. I invite you to check the Authenticate section on Qlik.dev website to have a better picture of all the OAuth2 application types we support. Before going to the details, let's see the core concept behind the machine-to-machine impersonation. First of all, this method don't expose client credential in the front end, since there's a backend service for issuing the impersonation token on behalf of a user. The impersonation token can have a predefined scope in order to follow the best practice of giving the user the least possible privileges compared to the action it needs to perform. Another best practice can be to use multiple clients for separating the management task an administrator needs to accomplish on the tenant from the procedure to issue a token for authenticating an end user. To perform the machine-to-machine impersonation, the first thing we need to do is to create a machine-to-machine impersonation OAuth2 client on our Qlik Cloud tenant through the management console. Let's click Create New, then select Web from the Client Type dropdown, and let's enter a name for the OAuth2 client. Then we need to select the scopes to grant to the client from the scopes list. You can check on Qlik.dev the full list of supported OAuth scopes. Since we plan on using the access token from a web application, we add our local server to the allow origin list. In this demo example, my localhost server will be the one using impersonation token to make a request to a Qlik Cloud tenant. Select the checkbox to enable the OAuth client to act as a machine-to-machine impersonation application, and then click Create. A window appears containing the client ID and client secret values for the OAuth2 client application to use. Copy and paste them to a secure location for later use. Before continuing, we need to change the consent method to trusted, since we will have a trusted backend server to hold the credentials provided by a tenant, which includes a client ID and a client secret. We can now go back to our web application. As mentioned in the previous video, connecting to Qlik Embed when you use the web component implementation requires adding a script element in the head tag of your HTML page. The attributes of the script element are a mix of standard and specific attributes relevant to the connection you choose. The data host needs to be the host name of the tenant that hosts our Qlik Analytics apps. In the client ID, we are going to paste the client ID generated when we create the OAuth client in the management console. As data OAuth type, we use OAuth2, while data getAccess token invokes a JavaScript function called getAccess token that asks to the backend the token for the impersonated user. The backend is the one that, after receiving the authenticated user from the identity provider of your web application, will ask to Qlik Cloud a token on behalf of that user by sending to Qlik Cloud the client ID and client secret together with the user ID we need to authorize. Hence, in our backend, we need to hold the credential provided by the tenant, which includes the client ID and the client secret. It's time now to see the demo in action. Let's start from the user login to your web application that relies on your identity provider in order to authenticate the user. As soon as the user is authenticated into your web application, he asks for a token through the getAccessToken function. This function will contact the trusted backend server who will ask to Qlik Cloud tenant an OAuth token on behalf of the authenticated user by passing in the request the client ID, client secret of the OAuth integration created before from the management console, together with the user ID of the user who needs the token. Qlik Cloud validates the correctness of the information, including the client ID, the client secret, and will check if the user is active. And in case the validation is positive, gives back the token to the M2M impersonation app, who will send it back to the web application. From now on, the user will be entitled to request the content coming from the app of the Qlik Cloud tenant through the getAccess token. We came to the end of this video where we cover how the machine-to-machine impersonation token can help you to perform a single sign-on between your web application and Qlik Cloud tenant using an authentication strategy that mitigates the blocking of third-party cookies. If you want to cover more in details how machine-to-machine impersonation works with Qlik Cloud by understanding how the single calls work using Qlik API library, as well as the raw API call and how to manage the users in case they are not already a Qlik Cloud tenant members, please check the other available deep dive video on the subject. Thanks for watching.